It's like my doctor, he told me I had a blood test, so I stayed up all night and studied for it. Yeah, the old joke.
Drink it. Eat all the good stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hit good numbers. I want to do good. Yeah.
Nice to make your acquaintance, John.
You
And you again, Julie.
good? All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Empowering Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Glenn Harper.
I'm Julie Smith.
What's going on, Jewel?
Well, we're still in winter.
Well, it's what it's like in Ohio, and we're stuck with that. But we got college football playoff this weekend. That's good.
Oh, I didn't know they started already.
They start, and it's on. It's go time, and we're going to have a good time with it. But to more important things to talk about today, we've got a wonderful guest. We've got David Stowers, principal owner of Smash Success, is also a business development specialist for FreedomDev Sensible Software, and he is a TikTok influencer to keep his kids on edge that if they misbehave, it will embarrass them all over social media. That's what it says. For some reason, he flat out enjoys helping businesses grow and scale. He has a voice for radio and a face for TV. He is more comfortable in front of the camera than Bob Barker. He has a storied career with many stuff that I'm confident listeners will enjoy. He loves to sell solutions for his clients' problems, but his passion is helping entrepreneurs grow and scale. He is solely responsible for the personal household credit of families to increase exponentially in the early 2000s as he was the face of the Shop at Home QVC platform. For those of you who do not know what this is, it was revolutionary TV concept at the time as it enabled one to purchase all the coolest stuff from your couch at home while watching TV, while eating popcorn in your PJs. His calming presence made people want what they were selling. The sales experience that he learned from this position resonated with David and led him to start Smash Success to help the companies making products or services grow exponentially. He's not helping companies grow or selling company solutions. You can find him on the local improv comedy stage telling dad jokes or smashing points on the pickleball court. Please welcome David Stowers.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. We were looking forward to chatting with you. It should be a hoot, I hope, today.
We like to poke holes in that because sometimes Glenn goes a little crazy on his introductions and they're not always truthful.
That's not true. The internet said it was. I don't know.
Yeah, he embellished it a little. Looks
Just
like
a little bit. Oh, come on now. It has to be true. Well,
we can correct a little if you want as we go here.
Well, if that's what you want to go with. Well, we're trying to, when we have our guests on here, we try to get to know them, where they came from, how they got started doing what they do. And so we're trying to figure out, it says that you maybe grew up in the city of Grand Rapids in the furniture city. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah. Well, I guess, when people are listening in here from anywhere in the world, West Michigan is probably the way we say it here. So.
Gotcha. Second biggest city in the state. Yes.
Yeah. You know how people say they're from Detroit or Chicago, but it's really a suburb, so it's enough people where I say the big city name, but it really was, outskirts. So
doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
So growing up, your parents, were they entrepreneurs? They have real jobs? How'd that work out?
My mom was in a hospital administration and my father was a counselor, psychologist. And so, yeah, I always like to say around our dinner tables, my father would bring home his work and say, what would you do in this situation? So I really tapped into the psychology side of that. And that's where I love my marketing. And then my grandfather was a business owner and I got inspiration there. So the combination, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm really passionate about marketing as well. So that's kind of where I think it came from.
It's interesting that your grandpa was an entrepreneur, but your parents, neither one did that path. Did what your grandfather do for a living terrify them that they had to work like it was insane? And they're like, I'm not doing that. And then or how did that happen? How did they not choose that? Do you know?
I think my mother was more wanted to play it safe, kind of, grow up with the home with a consistent paycheck. And my father he had these aspirations, but never took the leap. He just, he had a servant's heart and just wanted to just he leaned into that a little bit more. So yeah, but in all fairness, and like a lot of entrepreneurs, I was hustling stuff as a teenager. I was always doing stuff, and that led into my career very early because of being able to make some relationships, and very early that kind of launched me into some early success with infomercials, if you remember the term back in the day. Yeah.
So when you say you were you hustling because you were bored, you wanted the cash to go out and buy a car and go date the ladies? Like, what was the motivation to want to say, I got to go make some money? Or like, how did you decide that?
I want to say 15 or 16. I think I was 16, and the neighbors knocked on the door. My mother answered the door. I'm standing behind her, and they made some business presentation to her. My mom right away said, this sounds like Amway, and wasn't interested, but I raised my hand behind her. I says, I'm interested. And so my parents had to sign for me, but at 16, I signed up and I started going to all these events and hearing motivational speakers and all these people making all this money. And at a young age, those seeds were planted. And so for a couple of years, I did that. And that was where a lot of that came from. I just got some, I think I would call it good mentorship at a young age, at least saw the success and was, thought this is the path I want to take. So it was that point forward, I think I sort of started to become unhireable. So
this
Unhireable, I love that.
This is crazy. Like, two things are happening. Number one, your parents are like, yeah, go do all this stuff. Like, that's a big leap for parents to say to their kid, go do that. But number two, sales is terrifying to most people. And you're like, I want that. Like, where did that come from?
My parents' friends would always look at me sometimes and say, you're different in a good way, right? Because I just kind of carried myself with a little more confidence. And I don't know where that came from. Probably my father's psychology background. And I had great parents and they just instilled that positive mindset. I'm not saying they were always positive because parents can be, sometimes I thought they were negative. But it was just at an early age, it just sort of maybe being the oldest child too, you tend to get that little bit of social advantage, as they say. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I think it maybe came from.
You're special.
Yeah, hopefully in a good way.
That's right. That's special. It's a good one.
Not without my faults, for sure.
That's right.
So your siblings,
Yes.
how many did you have?
I have a brother. He's my bigger little brother. So he's a lot taller, a lot more athletic, but he's my little brother still. And we're best friends to this day. And then my sister, who we're all about 4 years apart. So my sister, so there's three of us. And
Are you the entrepreneur?
I'm the entrepreneur. My brother's in hardcore sales. So he, you guys understand enough talking to a lot of entrepreneurs that, sales is when the person has that entrepreneurial drive, but they kind of want to buffer it a little bit. And so they want the independence and some of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. But, he stays in that sales lane and he does extremely well at sales.
Those tall, athletic salespeople, the average middle-aged white guy cannot compete with that in that arena. It's impossible.
I can't compete with pickleball with him either. He just and I play competitive too, and he lets me play with him once in a while. But he's one of the best in our city, and I just can't compete with that. So
it's the damnedest thing. So we have to take what we're given, right? And then try to be the best at it. So when you're as a kid now, did you guys do a lot of vacationing? Did you stay at home a lot? Were you more of homebodies? How did that work?
We took a few family vacations, but we didn't. By American standards, I would say we were lower income. My father, being a counselor, didn't make much money. My mom was more on the secretarial side. So I often saw myself as maybe not having the nicest clothes or the nicest shoes. And maybe that factors into some of the motivation. But we were kind of in that, social economic range.
Which again, a lot of entrepreneurs start there because I don't want this. I want something better.
Yeah.
It's not a negative of where they're at. It's just like, it's a drive to be the best they can at something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just make a better way. But I've traveled enough internationally too, where I can appreciate how wealthy we are as Westerners, So I've always been super thankful. I've always told my kids that kings 1,000 years ago would have traded half their kingdoms for what the poorest people have here. So we're very thankful at the same time. So once you get older, you can put that in perspective, but it doesn't change those seeds that were planted, as you mentioned, to kind of motivate you.
So walk me through. I'm trying to picture my kids coming to me at age 15, 16 saying, Dad, I want to go off to a conference with all these motivational speakers, and I'm going to have a sleepover there for a few days, and you just got to sign off. I got it. I'll be fine. Like, how do your parents go, yeah, you're set for that. Go ahead. How did that conversation go?
And it was a combination of the neighbors being trustworthy people, a local school teacher, and they knew them and I'm going with them. And part of it also was just my father being having the psychology and psychologist background. He wanted to push me, and he also wanted to not have a rebellious teenager. So I think they let the rope out, as they say, maybe a little sooner than most, and gave me that independence to go make my own decisions, and a little bit earlier than most parents would get their kids to do that, even today. So.
But you're ready for it, right? I mean, obviously, I mean, and are we really ever ready? But they
Right.
felt like you would be. This is a great opportunity. That's fantastic.
Did you make the top 10? Like, how did this little career choice go?
Well, in Amway, it was a pretty mature company at that point. It still is very mature, but mature enough that I did okay for the resources I had, because in network marketing, it's all about your network. I didn't have a big network, but I had confidence to go maybe do more cold calling or talk to strangers. And so, I think for my age, I did well. But what I gleaned most from that is just the mental attitude, the positive mental attitude, because I'm listening to these little cassette tapes that I'm spending, my part-time job through co-op at high schools. I'm spending all my money on motivational stuff and listening and drinking in this positive mental attitude stuff, the early days of Tony Robbins and kind of thinking. And so, that's, I think that's kind of how it all played out, as I recall. I mean, I'm 59. That was, a little while ago.
It's funny. Good salespeople, and we get to come across them as clients and just in life. Nothing phases them. Mm-hmm. You could tell them they're the worst person. They suck at what they do. They're the worst product they're selling. They're like, yeah. So can I count on you for an order tomorrow? Like it just doesn't bother them. Where as a normal person, you get rejected like that, you're in therapy for a month. Like how at what point, like, and you started this, did you already have that confidence, or did these couple of years stint when you did this and went away, did that really just nail it? Like, I'm invincible?
Human nature in general, none of us like that rejection. And so I wasn't immune to it. I think what it did is it gave me, it encouraged me to take a step into that and embrace that a little bit more, where courage is, like they say, it's not like you don't have fear. If you have, you just go lean into it and you make it happen. So I think where that's also benefited in life is it's made me less, a lot of people shy away from confrontation. And it's not that I enjoy confrontation, but I've learned that in the long run, it's better to, if you can do it right with the right heart and the right mindset and the right framework, you leaning into the problems is going to get you further in the long run. So so that all came out of that for sure.
So you're studying, doing, or you're doing sales, learning things, traveling the world. Then you're like, you know what? I think I'm going off to college. I'm going to go far, far away. I'm going to cross Route 6 and go to Davenport University and go far, far away. How did you decide that college, and why did you even decide to go to college when your sales was just happening? Like, what
kind of goes back to the parents again. My parents, you want to make them proud, and they kind of had pushed me and wanted me to go to college. And so I made the 45-hour trip from north of Grand Rapids to Grand Rapids and set up shop and went to college. It took me 10 years to get my bachelor's, just so you know, though, because I did get married very early and kids early, and sort of had to, burn the candle at both ends for a long time to eventually get that knocked out. And in the end, they know it. I did it for them. I didn't really do it for me. I don't know that it's the right path for everybody, but it was just some mixed motivation, a little cocktail of mixed motivation that was going on there. So, but I'm glad I did it. It's nice to have, it's nice to say you have, but man, I wish, looking back, I would have just focused on that entrepreneurial thing for those years instead of putting in the hours there, because it's just who I am.
It's tough. We're just led to believe that college is the thing to go to. And if you don't go, well, you're just some sort of lesser person, God forbid, do a blue collar job or but at the end of the day, the skills that you learn and how you do it, maybe it helped you a little bit as you hung up your shingle and did your own business, but the resources now. You just hire somebody to do that. You don't have to know it, right? And
or
so
you just use ChatGPT,
right?
Yes, and maybe that's the segue to where we're going with this conversation today, right? Like nowadays we have that. Back then, though, college even more so was just the thing you did, right? It's the thing that sort of, at least socioeconomically, if you could do it, you did it, and I could. So I mean, I had to pay my own way, and that's actually how it led into my entrepreneurial ventures, was figuring out how to pay for college, because I had to come up with the money on my own. So
all these college.
So walk us through that. What all did you do?
Boy, how long do we have for this show? So It is an interesting story. I think it is worth telling. And it starts where I'm in college, and I have in between my freshman and sophomore year, I decided I'm going to apply to sell cars at a local dealership a few miles from where my apartment was. And I got the job. So I'm 19 years old and I'm selling cars. My mom's like, I can't believe you're doing this. Like, that's for 30, 40-year-olds. And I'm like, I don't know. They gave me the job. So I made some good money that summer. And didn't know if I was even going to go back to college. I met a gentleman there, and through a series of events, ended up finding this little toy item. It's a boomerang airplane, a little piece of foam. You throw it and it loops around, comes back to you. And I watched these guys make a ton of money at these glorified flea markets. And I'm like, making $1,000 or $2 on the weekend. So I bought those wholesale, actually started importing them, figured out how to do that. And I started going to these glorified flea markets on the weekends. And I traveled. I'd go to Nashville on the weekend. And while I'm in college that next fall, and I started making $1,000 or $2 on the weekends, $500, $1,000. And that led to me doing a summer fair the following summer. And I'm set up at a booth next to this Malaysian guy, and he's selling this little product that you can look up on YouTube and go to rollingruler.com or Rolling Rulers, type it in. You'll see my hands on the infomercial we made with it. Because this guy walks up to me and he's selling Ginsu knives, and I have no idea who he is. And he says, that ruler that you've got there that I started importing after I met this Malaysian guy, and now I started selling those as well at these glorified flea markets my sophomore year. He says, yeah, have you ever seen the commercial called the Mooly? It slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, that was my commercial. And I'm like, yeah, he's blowing smoke. Turns out it was him. And he says, we can make a commercial out of that little ruler that you're importing. And so we did. 6 months later, after flying to New York, going to television studios, and I'm in my early 20s, and we made a commercial. Now, this was before the internet, so it was cash or COD. But we sold almost 1 million of those over the next 2 years on TV with an infomercial. So,
and you're still going to school, correct?
That I did take some time off then. It got busy. I had an office, and I'm 23 or 4 years old, and I'm getting these commission checks of $15,000, $20,000 a month, and I'm like, school is definitely not the priority at that time.
No.
So I just had that success at a very early age, and what I lacked at that point, and this is something I always try to bring up when I tell that story, is I lacked mentorship. My parents didn't know how to even guide me in that process. I didn't have people around me. And so 2 years later, making crazy money, building a beautiful home and fancy cars, and being able to take my daughter to Disney World whenever I wanted, we started on a downward financial path because I learned what a product life cycle was. Because my business partner, this gentleman at the time, he says, what are you going to do when this product run is over? I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, well, we're probably winding down here. Sales are going to start falling off. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I had a lifestyle. I had some money in the bank. But anyways, we couldn't repeat the success. So I think it was 1991, lost the home. 1992, I lost the fancy cars, filed bankruptcy a year later. Like, it was a real life lesson, that a hard one, which you hear a lot with entrepreneurs, but not a fun thing you want to go through. But it really was so good, in hindsight, right? 2020, looking back on it.
It's interesting on that. If you had a mentor that says, hey, this is how you pay tax, this is how you save your money, this is how you budget, this is how you do all the things, would you be where you're at today? The answer is probably no. Right? Because it couldn't have happened any other way. But that tasting it and then it's gone had to just trigger something primal in you that's way different than just going, oh, this is how you do things. Like, I feel like this is the best thing could have happened to you.
Well, I think
it sounds weird, but
we all know the peaks and the valleys. We don't learn anything at the peak, right? We learn everything at the valley. And so literally my thing was like, well, what did you pivot and do next? Like,
you
didn't stop.
No.
I like how you said that, John. Is a primal part of you comes out of it. So yeah, I was a very spiritual experience during that time, because it's not just losing your home and your cars and the embarrassment and the pain and how are you going to pay the bills and kids that you have to feed mouths and stuff. It is a question, like you said, Julie, what do you do next? But you also start to tap into that, who am I? What do I want to be in life? What's my purpose and all this kind of thing. And you just, survival kicks in. And I did flea markets on the weekends. And I remember literally not having money to give my wife to buy diapers. So the home hasn't, we lived in that home for almost 18 months before the bank got it. So fighting that a little bit and not even having money to give my wife for diapers. So, I mean, that's a tough place to be. So now it's potentially losing your marriage because that's being strained to the max, which thank God we didn't. But it's primal. You get real primal. It was probably the most deeply spiritual time of my life too. Which, as going back to what you said, would I be the same person today? No. I had to learn humility. And that was I was arrogant and prideful at the time. 24, 25 with,
why wouldn't you be?
Yeah. Maximum, all this success, right? That you see, we see it now in this TikTok culture, but a little bit more. It's a little more in our face. But that's who I was just without the internet. So yeah, and it was a great time looking back for that reason.
Yeah, you had to fight your demons. You had to go deep.
Yeah,
because nobody was going to save you. It was only you, and then you had to fight yourself to go. I mean, these stories give me goosebumps because it's just like everybody kind of has to go through it. Some it gets worse than others. This one sounds like, heck, 18 months in your house, you're not even fully moved in yet. And you're like, oh my God, now we're out of here. Like that had to be a horrible experience, but made you stronger.
Yeah. And you learn you're hiding things from people till you can't hide it anymore in terms of, just friends and family, and just mostly that's just the personal embarrassment, I think, of the whole thing. But to kind of segue into your question, Julie, what I did next was I was an entrepreneur still, and I couldn't make a living doing the flea markets. I could keep a little food on the table. And what I looked at was I did have that spiritual journey. What could I do entrepreneurially that would take very, very little capital, but give me significant upside? And that's when I got into network marketing really heavy with a company at the time. It was a telecommunications company. And this was when long distance was first, going from 50 cents a minute to 10 cents a minute. And I did network marketing for about 5 years. And that's where I really excelled. I found a second career, I guess you could say. And I got into training and doing the, belly to belly dinner table type conversations to recruit people. And yeah, I did well. I hit the top of that company.
Was that MCI or what was that one?
This one was called Excel Telecommunications.
I think I might have got sucked into that for a second. and I remember, and I was like, the guy's trying to get me into it. I'm like, well, show me where I'm going to save on my bill. Yeah. And he couldn't do it. I said, I'm not doing this.
Oh yeah.
It was a big thing back
then. MCI was just a hair before that. And this MCI had those little credit card looking things. You dialed the long sequence and number before you dialed. So yeah, this was straight up dial one.
We know, we've been there. And there's people listening, they know exactly what it is. Network marketing was just a coming thing. And it was either people were making bank on it, but at the same time, it was like the stigmatism, like it was a scam. But at the end of the day, what was most people were selling was a good product. Yeah. It was good stuff. It's just the negative connotation overshadowed it until you could crack through that. Then people could see it, and that was hard.
And you say that, and it's funny. You're actually describing why I went into a third career. It's fascinating because I did not enjoy that side of it. I did not enjoy the stigmatism that went with it. And so I eked it out and I did it. After, 5 years, I'm like, man, I don't want to make a career out of this, but it dug me out of a hole. And so that's when I'm run into a guy who had an dial-up internet. Now, once again, Julie, you're not maybe old enough to remember that.
I know dial-up internet.
Oh, good. You're right on the cusp of that, probably. And he starts talking to me, and I'm having this conversation with him around the time when AOL, if you recall, do you remember the CDs they would send out in the mail? It's free 500 hours of internet. Discount internet was just coming along. Instead of $24.95 a month, you start seeing ads for $9.95 a month for unlimited or whatever. He starts telling me how he had started ISP and sold it. He moved back to Michigan. He says, we could charge a penny a minute if we wanted to. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, the billing's easy to do that. So we are to this day, I think we're the only ones that ever took that concept. And you can go to, I think it's not netpenny.net, still around. Believe it or not, there's a company that ended up buying us who, to kind of go forward a little bit on the story, and I'll jump back. They still offer I don't know, it's like $295 or 295 minutes, because there are farmers. There's requirements for some companies that have an extreme backup situation. I think they've got 700-800 customers still using dial-up to this day. But I regressed a little bit there. That guy and I started that company. We raised a bunch of capital, and we just grew like crazy, just crazy. I mean, we had 1 month, we took 20,000 phone calls into our phone call system. We just exploded. We only had about 20 employees at the time, but we bought a building and, grew it. And we did a 5-year run. It was a good run. And then high speed kind of came along, and we couldn't really make money on the high speed. There just wasn't enough money in it for us to transition. So I can shorten the story by saying, I bought him out and then sold off to our GM, and they sold to this other company. So yeah, that was got me into technology. Alongside of that, I get a call from my old Mooly rolling ruler friend he's still one of my dearest friends to this day as well. And he says, "Hey, got an opportunity to go on QVC and sell this product." And I'm like, that sounds interesting. So flew to Philadelphia, where their headquarters were, went on the air, sold this product. And that was about a 7-year run, and that led into me doing live television for about 7 years, until the travel got to me, because you're just getting on a plane, flying to Philadelphia, and at the last minute a lot of times. But made hundreds of national television appearances, selling dozens of different products on QVC. And I would find them, I would rep them, and I did that in concert with this internet thing until the internet thing went away. So.
It's funny. The kids these days have no idea how great, when the internet came out, nobody would tolerate that kind of quality today. Nobody would tolerate it. But at the time, it was like, we'll take it. This is it'll eventually show up on my screen. But if it can't be instant today, I don't even know how we even did commerce back in the day when it came out. So that's a tribute to everything right there. People wanted it so bad, they didn't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. It was 4 to 6 weeks. I think the Federal Trade Commission required you to deliver within 6 weeks. So yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So again, it's so weird. You're kind of have a business, you're selling it, you're doing your thing, and you go off, you're selling this other thing, you're doing the QVC thing. You're still doing the entrepreneur thing on the side, but you're probably doing better at the QVC thing, and you're in a whole new type of market. And then again, for some reason, that stopped, and you decided, I'm going to do this whole thing, will help companies scale. How did that transpire?
Yeah, so the QVC thing was from 2000 to 2007. My kids were at that age of 6 to 16. I had five kids, and I just was missing too many birthday parties, and it just got to me, and I decided, it's kind of time to hand that off. I handed the products I was on television with to some other people, and it was a great time, by the way. It was the most fun I ever had in business. That still to this day. I mean, you're meeting famous people. You'd sit in the green room with Lori Grenier, who's the QVC. You're meeting Billy Mays. I traveled with him. It was so fun, but it work-life balance and kids, like priority, right? I was weighing it, and I'm like, so I gave it up and temporarily went back into network marketing as a filler. But during that period, I started a couple SaaS companies because I fell in love with technology too. I fell in love with selling the invisible a little bit instead of the tangible. And so started a e-newsletter company. This was the internet's coming on strong, obviously. So ran with that for 5 years. And then I'm kind of consulting a lot in that period of time. And then now that I'm older, I kind of enjoy just coming alongside of a company and helping them with their marketing. And so I've usually have one client at a time. And for the last, 10 or 11 years, I've had 3 clients and about a 3 to 4 year run with each one. And I kind of work myself out of a job as a good consultant should, I guess, or a good marketing person. And come in, help them work their marketing, their business development, get some systems in place so they can turn the faucet on and off. And this company I'm with now, FreedomDev Sensible Software, I'm sitting in their offices right now. I actually stepped out of one of their planning meetings here, the annual planning meeting, to come and do this.
I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's this is an incredible company. I could probably work here until I'm 80 years old. I just love these guys, but I'm still independent. I'm 1099, but no one in the building would probably know it. And so, yeah, I just love, we're doing that for them. We're setting up, like how I met Julie through, we have a podcast ourselves. We're using that as a way to create content, and I'm kind of setting up a marketing system for them. And it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's learning, right? A lot of math involved. We tested this, that didn't work. We tested that worked a little. And that's kind of where we're at.
So I have a question. If this company were to ask you to be a W-2 employee because they see some longevity or whatever, would you give up your freedom?
You know, if they did, I don't know what circumstances would create that. But if they did, if it required me to report in and, put 40 solid hours, 60 solid hours, or come into an office every day, no,
not going to happen.
No, I'm too close to, and no, not going to happen.
I knew the answer, but I thought I'd throw it.
It's worth asking. Yeah.
Once you become self-employed, you can't be employed anymore. It's the damnedest thing.
You both are self-employed, so you know that feeling. So.
Well, he started the podcast off with he's unhireable,
unemployable, by anybody else. So it's a great segue.
Yep.
When you were doing the commercials and then you went on the QVC, did you have to do any special training to be acting, be comfortable on stage, speech thing, gargle vinegar and battery acid? Like, how did you?
Just natural,
or was it just like, I'm just going to do this? Like, hold my beer, I got it.
It's such a great question. So about a year after I started with QVC, they did start requiring first-time on-air people to go through a little training. And you had to do a dummy pitch with, or pitch your product to, in front of a room and go through that little exercise. I didn't have to. I sort of skirted that because that program wasn't in place at the time. But I don't know. I think first timers back then, around 2000, the host, he says, "Are you nervous?" I says, "Heck yeah." Why wouldn't I be? There's going to be I said, "How many people are watching us?" There'll be between 800,000 and 2 million people, depending on clicking through the channels, and they watch for an average of 6 minutes. And he goes, "But here's the advice I'm going to give you." He goes, "Go out there and just have fun. Just smile and have fun." He goes, "Make sure you don't swear." He says, "Because, it's live, there's a little delay, but, you won't come back. But so have fun." And so I don't know, that really resonated with me. And I went out there and just had fun with it. And also looking back, one thing that they said to me after you'd meet with the buyers and you meet with the producers and the directors and so forth afterwards, he'd be like, it was just my personality apparently resonated with the QVC audience as someone who comes off as trustworthy. And that really resonated. And so it just worked. And so now a lot of companies wanted me either to sell their product, or when I would bring a product to a buyer, they're like, "Yeah, let's do it if you think it's going to work." And that's something that you actually don't. Sometimes these TV pitchmen, the hype and psych, the Billy Mays back in the day, but wait, there's more. I didn't come off that way. That's what they said.
Well, it's totally true. And I think as an entrepreneur, one of the things that we sometimes lose track of is we're so busy, the pressures, we're trying to get this thing done, we're trying to do it. Just sit back, smile, and have a good time. If you're going to do it, either choose to be stressed out and ticked off or have some fun with it. And I'm telling you that the having fun with it lifts everybody up around you. And it's hard to do, right? You got to be a conscious effort to do that. But you can have fun doing anything, right?
Yeah. And there's angst, but I think it's like going on a first date or something. It's like there's butterflies, but you're still embrace it, enjoy it. It's it's an awesome experience. So yeah.
They say the number one things that chicks look for when you go on a first date, that the guy's got to be funny. So that's a rule.
I've heard that. Yeah, my dad told jokes. Oh my God, he had joke books everywhere, and yeah.
That's why I said
Glenn hasn't had many first dates.
No,
clearly.
that's That's why at the local improv telling dad jokes, I know you tell them. I know you do.
Yeah, I don't think that was an embellishment. I've had many people say I should do stand up, and I used to have a joke newsletter, but I gave that up about 6
See,
months ago.
I knew it.
What about the TikTok? Do you do that to embarrass
I
your
don't
kid?
do TikTok. What it was Facebook. I have 2,500 friends, but about 700 people follow me. I'm guessing, I know it's 700 some followers, and most of them, some of them will message and say, hey, I heard you're funny. Because if you look at my Facebook page, it's just humor. And it's not corny. It has to be that relevant, relatable, witty. So I'm really careful. Yeah. I just had someone Sunday at church. Oh, I love your humor on Facebook. I'm like, thank you. I love the one about this. And I shared it with my friends. So it's like a little mini blogger on Facebook with humor. Yeah.
But it's fun, right? And again, you have a brand yourself, right? You're obviously recognized by people. They grew up watching it at some level. And again, that trustworthiness is a real thing. And that's where, it said here that you're training to be the face of the Department of Commerce as they want you to sell the benefits of AI to the masses because people trust you so much. Is there truth to that?
I don't know where that came from. Maybe your producer typed that into ChatGPT or the internet somewhere.
Glenn's the producer. That's where we go wrong.
Oh yeah, the Department of Commerce. I'm trying to think of where that one would have come in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. If you want to go into AI though, especially on the subject of streamlining operations and to maximize efficiency, we could spend the rest of the time there too. I love AI, but yeah.
Well, I want to know where your ruler friend is.
My ruler friend. Yes.
Now?
So you might recognize him. He's Chef Tony. He's the guy, if you recall this infomercial, he throws a pineapple up in the air with a Ginsu knife and he cuts it in midair. Yeah. So that's Tony. And actually we're going to talk over the holidays here, but he lives in Vancouver and he's 9 years older than me and he's still doing some work here and they did a lot of international work. He may do one more knife commercial, but yeah, we talk.
Will you guys do business again or what? I mean, is it like this, just like ebb and flow?
Well, we could. It's interesting. We did. He was one of my clients, I could say for that 3.5, 4 year period. He was the first one. And I ran, he had a television shopping channel in the UK called Ideal Shopping that wanted to take his brand all throughout Europe to start, had a big budget to work with. And that's what I did. I flew over there a lot with him and we worked with that television shopping channel. So we did work together. We also used to, this is part of the story I had to skip because it's just not enough time, but for many of those years while we attempted to try to recreate our success, we were business partners and we had a team of 5 different crews that went to home shows and boat shows around the country selling Ginsu knives. And I kind of managed that for him. So we could, I don't know if opportunity, if our paths crossed again, sure. We just enjoy chatting once in a while and, laughing and getting together. He came to all my daughter's weddings. He flew in. That's the kind of friend he is, So.
Well, I just think when you find a business partner like that you can trust and it's that respect is, back and forth and mutual, that it's hard not to continue to cross paths with opportunities.
And
so
bring each other along for the ride. Why would you not spend time and money and effort in building something with somebody that is good for you?
Yes. And there was a part-time detour I took with my internet business partner. Best business partner. I mean, nothing against Tony. Tony's awesome. Tony's the infomercial guy. But in terms of operationally, my favorite business partner in that sense was a gentleman. He passed away of cancer last year, but he started a SaaS company and asked me to come along and help him with the marketing. And we worked about 3 years on that. Unfortunately, his death has kind of put a hiccup on that. And so I did that on the part-time to help him, but he was amazing. Like you said, the partnerships I've always thought of as the old adage, partnerships are some sink fast and some sink slow, right? They're partnerships. And they usually, but I've been fortunate to have some amazing business partners that became dear friends, just dear friends. So, rare, very rare.
All partnerships end. It's how do they end is the question. And some people get lucky and they turn out well. And other people, you just find true colors and it's just unfortunate, but it happens and that's life. And you sounds like you've been very fortunate. And, I wanted to go to something it's interesting too. You probably have a little bit different way you have to approach things, because an average person in business, an entrepreneur, their centers of influence is in this town, this neighborhood, this group, and their reputation is here. If they mess up in there, okay, they can move to another town. So their standards are still going to be high, but things happen, right? You're global. So you have this high standard where you have to be, I said have to be, you choose to move within purpose and intent, and you got to do things the right way because your reputation, everybody knows you, right? You can't take a chance on that. Does that make it harder for you to do business, or is it just something, look, as a core value, I just do things the right way and I don't worry about anything else?
Early on as a marketer, I think that's something I wrestled with, is how do you be integratable, at the same time trying to sell somebody something, right? Where because manipulation is the negative part of manipulation is so easy to fall into. And so I wrestled that for a long time, and it goes back to that spiritual experience I was telling you about, and kind of getting to the point where you've got your heart in. And I love this next generation. They're looking for that authenticity. They really want authenticity. And when you can do business from an authentic heart, then it just flows naturally. And for me, that was part of the journey, just getting to that point. So I don't worry about it now. I don't have to think about it. One thing I loved about, just to give you an example, this company that I'm working with now, one of the marketing things we did early on is we did a lot of direct mail. I'd take a notepad and I'd write and send this to somebody with a handwritten message. I did 100 of these a week. And I remember sitting next to the guy, the GM at the time, and he said, "Let me read some of those." And he looked at me and he says, "You're selling too hard." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're selling too hard?" He goes, "You're selling too hard." He says, we don't manipulate here. It feels like you're manipulating with your technique." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, so that threading that needle of brand awareness and stuff versus selling. I mean, I'm for selling, don't get me wrong, but I just trust my heart at this point. But I think everybody's got to figure that out for themselves, and it's good to check that. So
when I think the great salespeople, if I were to guess on this, you have a potential customer, and it's either you're selling them what they need or you're selling them what they want, and trying to decide which it is, because they may not need it, but they want it. That doesn't mean you're selling something wrong and you're being negative. It's they want it, so I'm going to sell it to them because that's what they want. And I got to convince them, do they really want it or they need it? If they need it, it's a whole different pitch. But wanting it is a different thing. So did you have to navigate each of those as each of these stints you had, or was it always something that you think it was a need or want that your customers were asking for?
Yeah, I had to navigate it each time. I mean, currently, when I go into a meeting with a potential client on behalf of this company, sometimes I talk people out of software, or will say, "You sell me why you think you need this, because you see that it maybe isn't in their best interest." And so, yeah, we've had some conversations where I could have probably shoved it down their throat or made it happen, but it just wasn't in their best interest. And so that's goes back to that integrity. I'm like, I can't sell this to them. I can't sleep good at night if I force this in square peg into the round hole.
That's the sign of a good salesperson. It's not if once the customer knows or ever knows that you're selling something that they don't need, it's over. Like, why would you? It's hard to get up in the morning and do that. It's more, you got to sell something that people can find useful, I think.
So as you reflect on your journey, I think we've walked through every peak and valley, as we should call it. Is there someone who is just a really great mentor where it just really stands out that you wouldn't be where you are today without this person?
Yeah, it's a collective for sure. And if you're trying to identify one or even two people, the business partner that just passed away, I learned a lot from him, business-wise, and he was a little older than me. He really helped me understand how critical operations are, because I'm a mudslinger. I'm out there slinging mud. I got to make it happen. Sales. And, behind the scenes, you guys are accountants. I hate accounting, or I just not my thing, I'd rather just pay someone like you to do that. You've heard that before?
You're real deep. It cuts me real deep.
But we're all built for different things. And I'm like, I appreciate it. I hate's a strong word. I just was like, oh, it's just like cleaning out a closet. Like that's not my thing. So he taught me the importance of it, and it taught me the importance of math in marketing. The ways in we were able to grow so fast with that internet company is the reports he would give me. He was a spreadsheet king, and he would give me data, and he would ask me, and he knew how to draw it out of me. He'd say, okay, you're running this billboard campaign, and you're running this radio campaign, and you're running this campaign, newspapers, if you can remember newspapers.
Oh, yeah,
and he would give me all the data, and he had the team, because he ran the salespeople, or I should say, customer service people, and they would ask, or on our drop-down menu, how'd you hear about us? And we tracked it, and I was able to make good decisions from that. And that's kind of a norm now in marketing. You got to know the math. You got to get you got to know where your money's best spent. But back then, it was, especially in an entrepreneur, you're in the young stages. You're just trying to throw mud and hope enough sticks to the wall. So he taught me some really good, important lessons. So to answer your question, I would say, yeah. Kudos to Rich Maring for that. So
love that. So we have one more question as we come to a close here, and it's the hardest question of the podcast. But what is your end game?
Well, at 59, my wife is still teaching school, and we talk about this a lot. She's also the same age. She won't say it. She's 6 months younger, so she hates, they're 6 months out. She's like, yeah, you're older than I am. Yeah. So with 5 kids and now 10 grandkids, we're on that leg of life where we're starting to look at the typical things that people at that age look at, right? Fortunately, though, we have the freedom, the flexibility to make all their games and their birthday parties and travel. I think my end game is I'm starting to get more involved with entrepreneurial hubs here in our area. One's called Startup Garage, to be able to give back. And so it's kind of typical in a way of people who kind of start to lean in towards the latter part of their life after being an entrepreneur. So I see more of that type of entrepreneurial volunteership, more travel. We love to travel, and more time with the family. So kind of typical, but so perfect in a way for us,
I mean, you answered it kind of correctly, but there is no end game for you. You have too much passion, too much knowledge, and you're not going to get up every day and really do nothing.
I've had this conversation twice this week with people saying that I have a good friend he had to make a similar decision. And he said, I said, I'll never retire. But my brother, even we talked this week, we'll always do something, right? But we will do it under a controlled environment.
On your terms.
I don't know. I think I'm going to wait for that email in January from you when you tell me you and Chef Tony are going to do something. Maybe I'm manifesting that, but I definitely.
We could. It's very possible. Very possible. You never know. I'm open.
The reboots are real popular. The people will be watching. They'll be buying. It'll be awesome.
Absolutely. I'm open. I really am. I'm always open. Never say never.
Gotcha. Well, you have a plug for your company where people can get a hold of you if they want to tap?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
He doesn't want anyone to find him.
Oh, they want to find him. He's not going to.
Well, I actually would rather plug the company that I'm working with. The one that kind of led me to you guys, which is FreedomDev. We're custom software support for your business. And we do a lot of integrations and migrations and things. And we work a lot with manufacturers, but any company. And so that's what we do. And freedomdev.com, they can find us and just have a conversation about maybe some pain points, right? That's where it always starts, and see if there's a fit, and we'll be, as you mentioned, we'll be upfront. If there's not, we'll tell you. So yeah.
That's right.
Well, stay tuned for Chef Tony.
I'm going to tell him. I'm actually going to tell him you said this, and so we'll see where it goes. I will reach out if we do connect. So reconnect.
Well, David, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on our show, and it was a pleasant chat. And I'm sure our listeners will find a lot of things that hopefully will provide some inspiration, give them some hope, and help them try to get through whatever peak and valley they're through to get to the next level. Because it's worth it to go through all this. And it's hard when you're by yourself. And if you can share these stories with people and inspire them, that's why we're here doing it. So again, appreciate your time being on our show.
Thank you. Thank you.
As in Empowering Entrepreneur Podcast, I'm Glenn Harper.
I'm Julie Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was awesome. You were great.
I can't wait to see what 2026 brings.